Hello, how are you doing? Welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you are looking for that last minute list just to make sure that you have dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's, got everything done, ready for the big day itself, then you're definitely in the right place. All of those things that sometimes get forgotten about, just making sure that you've cracked it, you've got everything done, then stick with me and I will make sure that you do not forget anything this year and that you have a pretty stress-free Christmas day. If you've been along for the whole series, then this is going to be the last one in the planning for a Christmas series, and we're just going to kind of wrap everything up today. And yeah, can you believe it? Christmas is nearly here. So what I'll be sharing with you this week is really all those tasks that still need to be done sometime over the next week and a half. And then I'm going to be sharing with you my regular Christmas Eve to-do list, all the things that I regularly have to do every Christmas Eve. And it just works well for me to do them then. And so maybe it will for you. But a lot of what we still have to do at this kind of stage in the game is really determined by our own Christmas, what our Christmas looks like, the things that we still have to do. So, for instance, maybe you still have to arrange to get together with friends to exchange some presents. Maybe you have a lot of people to buy for and you still have a couple of gifts still to get. Maybe you're going to be hosting a lot this Christmas and it's more kind of food and drink and hosting related tasks that you still have to do. So it's trickier for me to say, this week you need to be doing X, Y, Z, because we've kind of done all those bits by now and you are really in control of what still needs to be done. So the first thing that I would suggest that you do is to sit down and have a bit of what I would call a brain dump of all of those things that you still need to do, all the things that are swimming around in your head and that you keep thinking, oh, I must remember to do that. Oh, I still need to get that. Get it all down on paper. And that does a couple of things. So the first thing is it just relieves the stress in your head. It stops it all swimming around there. Get it down on paper and just have a good look at all the things you still need to do. And then look at the bit of paper and try and spot some patterns, whether, in that dump you've got a few gifts that you still need to buy, or maybe it's a few food items. What I quite like to do is to look at how I am going to get those tasks done. And, maybe it's something like you've got a couple of hours drive to go and visit friends to do a present exchange, and you still need to go to the grocery store to pick up something. And so there's a fuel station at the grocery store, and one of the things you need to do is to fill the car up so that you can make that 2-hour journey. So you're going to kind of try and group those things together so that you can decide, right, on Monday afternoon, I am going to go and get those last minute food items, and while I'm there I can fuel up the car for that journey we need to do, and oh, the pet store's just next door and I wanted to get a couple of little treats for the dog for his Christmas stocking, whatever that might be, and try and group them together so that it just makes it more efficient. Those tasks that you still have to do, you're grouping them into a more efficient way to carry them out. And so where am I with all my prep? I'm getting there. I've still got a couple of gifts still to kind of nail it. I kind of know what I'm going for, so hopefully it'll just be a case of going out and picking them up. I had a very leisurely trip to my supermarket last night. I decided that I would wait and go in the evening. I wandered around and picked up quite a few of the kind of goodies, the nice things that you like to keep in the house at this time of year. So I think that really the only kind of food shopping that I still need to do are the kind of fresh things, the fresh veg and cream and things that won't freeze that I have no option but to buy at the last minute. I have had one major fail this year, which I will tell you about later on, so stay tuned for my biggest fail this year. Another thing to think about this week is your Christmas table. Are there any last minute things that you need to pick up for that. I think back in maybe week 6 or so, we talked about a theme for the Christmas table. What were your colours going to be? Were you going to have crackers on the table, or were you going to have little table favours? Listen, of course you don't need any of that. What is important is having your family and friends round the table. But for some people, and I would put my hand up and say that I'm one of them, it's something that I really love doing. It's something that brings me joy at Christmas, and that's what this is all about, to take the time, potter about, put together a nice tablescape. That's what I enjoy doing. So if it is something that you enjoy doing, and only if it is, then have you got everything that you need to pull that together? Because this is kind of the last chance. I made a decision the other day about my Christmas decorating of the house, kind of called time on it and said, right, that's it, enough is enough. I've decorated as much as I want to. If it's not done now, it's not getting done. And it's kind of the same with things like the Christmas table. There will come a point a couple of days before Christmas and you're going to think, right, if I don't have it by now, if I don't have the napkins in the colour that I wanted, or I don't have, I don't know, the candle holders in the shape that I wanted or the colour that I wanted, then it's not happening. So have a think about that now. Do you have everything that you need for your Christmas table, or is there something that you need to just add on to your list to pick up last minute? Another thing that you're going to want to do at some point before Christmas Day is to create a detailed list for your cooking on Christmas Day, a detailed timings plan. You could do this Christmas Eve, but there's probably going to be a few more tasks that need to be done on Christmas Eve, so I would suggest doing it, a day or two before. But you're going to want to start with thinking about what time you want to sit down for your dinner and then work backwards from there. Honestly, this has saved me so many times. I do it not just at Christmas, but if I've got a big meal, lots of people coming round for dinner, I will do this. And I will literally put it all out, put the oven on at such and such a temperature. This needs to go in the oven at this time. I need to put a pan on for the water to boil for this veg, as detailed as possible. But it just means that it's all down there, and you can look at your timing plan and you can look at it and go, oh, actually, there's 20 minutes before I need to sort of do anything else. So if you get caught up in conversation with somebody, or someone hands you a gift to open or something like that, you don't need to worry about it, because it is so easy to get off track, because it can be a complicated meal to pull together. So without a shadow of a doubt, I would say get yourself a detailed plan together. I think we probably have still got the plan from last year or the year before, because it doesn't really change very much, because it's normally the same ingredients that are going in, year after year. But that would be definitely a top tip, is to get that plan pulled together so that you know at any given time exactly which oven needs to be on, at what temperature, what should be in the oven, what should be on the hob. Detailed cooking plan for Christmas Day. That's what you need. The next thing that you need to do, which kind of goes in conjunction with your timings plan for your cooking on Christmas Day, is to have some sort of space plan for your oven and your hobs. If your plan for cooking your meal determines that 5 trays of food need to go in your oven at a certain time, you need to make sure that 5 trays of food will fit in your oven. Or if your timings plan suggests that you need 5 or 6 pans or pots on your hob at any one time, you need to make sure that you can logistically fit all those things there. So again, going back to what we've suggested in previous videos about, just working out your serving dishes. Which dish are you going to use for this? Which dish are you going to use for the potatoes? What are you going to use for the veg? I would suggest that you do the same with your oven trays for your Christmas Day. And I've done that just by, I've gone as far as getting like sticky notes and sticking, like turkey on one and stick it in a pan, potatoes, whatever, and actually slotting them into the oven to make sure that they all fit. Because again, it's a bit of a disaster if you get to that point on your Christmas Day plan and you're like, oh, actually, I've got no more space in my oven. I can't fit this dish in there. We'll just have a bit of a dry run. Obviously, it's easier to know how many hobs you need and how many pans will fit on there, but making sure that everything will fit into your oven at the same time is a big one. And I certainly always find that when my oven is crammed full, everything just takes longer to cook. So roast potatoes are a big one. Roast potatoes will cook much faster in an oven if they are the only thing in that oven using all the heat than if you have got them in the oven along with 5 or 6 other things. They will take a lot longer. So just give that some thought. Make sure everything on your timings plan is actually going to fit in the oven at the same time. If you're going to be hosting a larger group on Christmas Day, or for any other gathering, if you're having a party or that kind of thing over the whole festive season, consider, is there a way maybe that you can set up a drink station that guests can just help themselves? Especially on Christmas Day, if it's close family and friends, they're not going to mind pouring themselves their own drinks while you're busy, getting the meal together and cooking and things. They'll probably thank you for it, because then they won't feel like they're pestering you or having to kind of wait for a drink refill. So have a wee think about that. Is there somewhere that you can, put a selection of glasses out, get some ice out there, get a selection of drinks? Some things might have to stay in the fridge, but get a selection of drinks and mixers and things and put them out, and then just let your guests get on with it while you're, maybe, as I say, getting on with getting the kind of cooking last minute things ready for the meal. So yeah, a drink station that you can set up for your guests to help themselves, that's definitely something to consider. Next thing I'd be thinking about now, just getting ready for Christmas Day, is in connection with your table again, and that's your table linens. Are they all clean, ironed, ready to go? For me, I've actually bought a couple of new tablecloths this year, so they're still in their packets. So one thing I need to do is, take them out of the packet, get them all ironed. I'll probably get that done, sometime over the next few days, just so that it's done, so that it's not getting left to the last minute. So just do that, get them out, make sure that they're all clean, ready to go. What about some music for Christmas? Have you got any Christmas playlists on the go? It's always something that's quite nice if you've got some people coming round, or again, hosting on Christmas Day, or even Christmas morning. We used to have a CD that, dating myself now, a CD that we used to always put on when the kids got up in the morning, and that just seemed to be the background music to our Christmas morning and sort of present opening. Now I tend to just jump on Spotify or something like that and kind of pull up a playlist. But it is something that's nice to just have a little bit of a thought to it. Where are you going to go? How are you going to have it? If you've got a little speaker you can put on, or do you play music through your TV? It is always nice to have some music on in the background if you are having a gathering of any sort. It just adds to the whole ambience. So a few Christmas playlists, that's what you need to do this week. This next one is an oldie, but definitely worth just dropping in here, especially if you've got youngsters in the family, and that is to stock up on batteries. It's an age-old problem. Christmas morning, somebody gets something that needs batteries and you don't have the right size. So just do a scout round through your gift list. Anything that you're giving your little ones in the family, does anything need batteries? And make sure you're stocked up. I'd also suggest that you try and stock up on some of your basics as well over the holidays, just to avoid having to run out to the shops for anything. Now, I know that the shops are only closed for one day. I know that by the time it gets to Christmas, I've spent so long in the shops buying gifts and getting all the groceries. The last thing I want to do is to have to run out and pick something up, a basic milk, bread, flu meds, pain reliever, all of these things. So try and stock up on the basics as much as possible, just to avoid having to unnecessarily make another trip to the shops. So next we're going to run through my Christmas Eve task list, and these are just the things that I routinely do on Christmas Eve. And maybe it's, you might hear something that you think, well, actually, that's quite a good idea. I could maybe adopt that too. The first thing that I have on my Christmas Eve list is that's when I like to set my table. Now, Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday this year, so that's quite good for most of us. Sometimes when it falls, on a regular weekday, then that can be harder because a lot of people are working all that day, and so they've got a limited amount of time to sort of try and cram things in at the end of the day when they get home from work. But hopefully, with it falling on a Sunday this year, it'll be a lot more leisurely. So setting my table is definitely something that I always like to do on Christmas Eve. I like to put a Christmas movie on in the background or maybe some Christmas music, gather together everything and just take my time and get the table set. I also like to create a seating plan. That's maybe not quite so important if there's a smaller number around the table, but this year we're going to have 11 of us. Last year there was 13 of us. And yeah, I just like to have that and put little place cards out so everybody can just go straight to the table and know exactly where they're sitting. So yeah, first on my task list for Christmas Eve is definitely to get my table set. Another thing that I will always do on Christmas Eve is really to try and prepare ahead as much of the big meal for Christmas Day as we possibly can. That might involve prepping the veg, maybe peeling the veg and chopping it and just plunging it in some ice water and popping it in the fridge until the next day. Or maybe I'm going to be kind of making a soup or putting a dessert together. The other thing that we always do on Christmas Eve, well, I say we, but as I said last week, my husband is the Christmas chef. So he will always cook the turkey on Christmas Eve during the day. He'll cook it all on Christmas Eve and then slice it all and lay it all out in trays with the stuffing and everything. And then essentially on Christmas Day, all you're doing is actually reheating it. But you've got the advantage of knowing that your turkey is completely cooked through. So there's none of this anxiety on Christmas Day. Is it cooked? Is it not cooked? Meanwhile, your veg is overcooking or your potatoes are overcooking while you're waiting for the turkey to be thoroughly cooked. So no, we like to do that all on Christmas Eve, get the turkey completely cooked, sliced, and then the leftovers can all just go in the fridge and the turkey itself can kind of go in the fridge. And then on Christmas Day it's just a case of having it all sliced in the trays ready to go in the oven. So yeah, just prepping as much of the meal as possible on Christmas Eve is I just find that it makes for a much more stress-free Christmas Day. And next on my list of tasks for Christmas Eve is to get all my clothes ready and looked out for Christmas Day. Now, these tasks are in no particular order. I don't do them at any set time on Christmas Eve. Just making sure that whatever I've decided to wear on Christmas Day is all looked out and ready. And I suppose this was maybe more of a thing when the boys were younger, because when they were little and you want to make sure that their outfits are all kind of ready. But you just don't want that last minute scramble of whatever you planned to wear and then suddenly you realize, oh, it's got a mark down it, or especially where kids are concerned, that it's still at the bottom of the laundry pile or something like that. So clothing for Christmas Day, on Christmas Eve, at some point, I just need to make sure that it is all there and just looked out and ready to go for Christmas Day. Another task for Christmas Eve, or actually even sooner, it could be done the day before for this one, if you are going to be driving to visit family and friends, is to make sure that you've got fuel in your car. So, Christmas Eve at the latest, make sure that your car is all fueled up, ready to go, and that you've got screen wash in it, and all of these things. The last thing you want to be doing on Christmas Day is to be faffing about, filling up the water, filling up the screen wash, trying to make a run to the garage if it's even open to fill up with fuel. So just make sure that your car is all ready to go for any journeys that you are going to be making on Christmas Day. Another task that could be done actually even the day before Christmas Eve, but certainly Christmas Eve morning, is just to run through all the food ingredients that you've got for the next day. Just double check that you have actually got them. It's not the first time that I've gone, to get something and thought, well, where is it? I don't know, a lemon for a recipe or something, and then you realise that it rolled out of your car, or it's still rolling around the boot of your car, or whatever, or you scored it off your list but you didn't actually pick it up. So just run through those ingredients, food items that you need for Christmas Day, and just make sure that you do actually have them in your fridge, in your cupboard, ready to go. Something else that can be done on Christmas Eve is to start chilling any drinks that you're going to be serving cold on Christmas Day. Whether that's soft drinks or white wine, whether that involves putting them in your fridge, or certainly where we are at this time of year, we could probably just leave them sitting out in the garage, or sometimes we'll just tuck them outside the back door on the patio, and that will be enough to actually chill them for the next again day. Just make sure that anything that you want to serve chilled, you start chilling the day before, because again, it's when your fridge is crammed full, it doesn't chill things as fast. So yeah, drinks, and going back to what we said, if you've got a drinks station that you might be able to set up, then you can certainly get on with doing that on Christmas Eve as well. So just get all your drinks prepped, whether they need to be chilled, where they are, gather together all your glasses, set up your drink station so that that's all ready to go on Christmas Day too. Another thing I like to do on Christmas Eve, especially if I'm going to be hosting on Christmas Day, is to just give the house a little bit of a clean. Nothing too dramatic, bit of a light dusting, run the hoover over, and the bathrooms, public spaces, anywhere your guests are going to be. But I definitely want to do that on Christmas Eve and not leave any of that to Christmas Day. Who wants to be cleaning their house on Christmas Day? So definitely like to get any house cleaning all completed on Christmas Eve. And it's just really nice to get up to a clean house on Christmas Day. And then there's usually a last minute bit of wrapping to do, and of course, organising the Christmas stockings for Christmas morning. And yes, even in a family with grown up children, there are still stockings to be had on Christmas morning. So that's always a task for the last minute to kind of pull the stockings together. And I would say that, it's a good idea just to have a think about how you are going to be spending your Christmas Day, and just think, is there anything else that you could do in advance that is just going to make your life easier? It might be something like, maybe you're going to be hosting a really big gathering and you need somewhere for everybody to put their coats and jackets. So maybe you need to create a bit of space for that. But yeah, just thinking through the way that you will spend your day, and just thinking about anything else that you can do just to make that a little bit easier for you, and then just add any tasks onto your own Christmas Eve task list. And I'd love to know what those are. Please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you have on your Christmas Eve task list. I know there's a lot of traditions that people have on Christmas Eve, and it's maybe not like a task that they have to do. It's just something that they routinely do. It's not something that we did as a family, but I do know lots of families who always had a tradition to go to the cinema on Christmas Eve, especially with young children. Excitement levels are reaching fever pitch, and you're just looking for a way to occupy them, contain them, get them, through the day until it's time to hang their stockings up and go to bed. So, yeah, either what are your Christmas Eve traditions, or what else do you have on your Christmas Eve task list that we can all learn from? So, yeah, please do put those in the comments below. And so, just before I let you in on what my big fail is for my Christmas prep this year, just a couple of things that I just want to kind of round off by thinking about. And it really is just to say that, Christmas is not just one day in my mind. Christmas is the whole season. And so if you do have something that doesn't quite go according to plan on Christmas Day itself, it doesn't mean that the whole of Christmas is completely ruined. It doesn't really matter if it just doesn't quite go the way that you'd pictured it in your head. There are plenty of days and plenty of other opportunities, over the whole of the festive season, to share some really special times with family and friends, and really really able to sort of create that joy for yourself. And that is kind of what it's all about. And so I would say that it is a really good idea to go with the mindset of really trying to embrace the messiness of reality. life isn't perfect and it is not all going to go perfectly. And although we've spent the last kind of 10 weeks together, pulling this plan together to try and make things as kind of stress free as possible, it won't go perfectly. And so I think we just have to embrace the whole messiness of all of that. So, after me just saying, embrace the messiness of reality, one of the lights that I was just using to kind of try and light myself there has just gone out. And it's so dark outside now that I need a bit of extra lighting. So I'm just having to, I'm sorry if the lighting is a bit off in this kind of last few minutes, but it's just the messiness of reality. But what I was going to say was one kind of thing that I would like to really mention at this point as well is to try as much as possible to let go of comparison. It is always said that comparison is the thief of joy, and that is so true, and never more so at this time of year. And your social media feed will be bombarded with all the images of the perfect family, the perfect couple, enjoying the perfect Christmas. But in reality, that it won't all be like that. So you do you and let everybody else do them. Enjoy your Christmas. Thoroughly enjoy the time that you are going to be spending with your family and friends, and just let everybody else get on with it. And just try really, really hard not to compare your celebrations with everybody else's. And so, what's been my big fail this Christmas? Well, quite some time ago in our planning, I said, wrap as you go. And have I done it? No, I have wrapped only one gift so far, and that is something that I had to hand out to somebody today, actually. So, something a bit earlier than normal. I have not wrapped another thing. I don't know why. I'm going to be thinking about it. And actually, it's something that somebody has asked me to do, and I 100% intended to do it anyway. And that is to kind of do round off this series after Christmas with a bit of a debrief, what worked, what didn't work, what would I do differently, next year. So we will be doing all of that, and I would definitely encourage you to do the same. So there will be a video of that type after Christmas. But yeah, that has definitely been my big fail, is that I'm sitting here a week and a half before Christmas with not a single thing wrapped. So that's my big fail. That's what I need to get going with. That's the biggest task probably on my list that I still have to do, is to get all those gifts wrapped. And while this week concludes the series on the kind of planning for Christmas aspects of things, I will be back with some other videos over the coming weeks. Not quite sure what they're going to look like yet. Maybe some other how-tos, maybe some kind of vlog style videos. Please do let me know in the comments what kind of content you would like to continue seeing from me, because the channel is here to stay. This series was really kind of the first content on the channel, but very much planning to be here with lots of kind of home decor tips and lifestyle tips, all in connection with celebrating the seasons. But I'd love to hear from you, what type of content would you like me to make? I'm going to be planning what I'm going to be doing in the coming months too. Definitely, I will be looking at how to decorate for winter, how to keep the kind of cozy vibe going, once all the Christmas decorations come down. That is something that I love to do, is to really kind of decorate for winter, what decorations can stay, what can go, that type of thing. So I'll definitely be doing that. But yeah, what other things would you like to hear from me, see me do? Drop some ideas in the comments below. I always love to get your comments and your feedback. So yeah, what kind of content would you like to see on this channel? So that concludes our planning for Christmas series, but I'll be definitely bringing you lots more videos in the coming weeks. So yeah, I will see you in the next one.